Hi, I'm Vunak. Welcome to Attributes 2. Let me reiterate exactly what an attribute is. It's a quality like speed or power or timing or coordination. On our first tape, we worked these basic qualities. We worked body mechanics, we worked power, we worked a little bit of speed. I'd like to pick up where we left off on Attributes 1 and hone in on some of these qualities. So our first attribute we're going to work is body mechanics in trapping range. We combine body mechanics and rhythm, and we're going to form one attribute. So let's pull to the gym and give it a try. For our next attribute, we're going to be working body mechanics. Now, body mechanics gives you the ability to take out a big man. You take a boxer, throws a jab, a cross, a hook, an uppercut, an overhand. Or he throws a jab and a cross and a hook. The better he gets in boxing, the more he's turning into his punches. The same thing with trapping. An elbow thrown like this is going to piss somebody off. An elbow thrown like this is going to take them out of commission. So you learn to use your entire body in everything you do. We're going to illustrate this through the headbutt. Frank, we usually put our headbutts, our elbows, and our knees in after we get the hands tied up in a fight. This is why we integrate Wing Chun right here, to get the hands tied up. Once we get the hands tied up, then we put in the tools that are going to take somebody out. Now, starting with the headbutt, the mechanics that we use to pull him in, we're going to be in this position, is not the bicep, but it's the lats. If you notice, the minute I make my entry right here, I'm pulling him to me. I'm using all of the muscles in my lats and my traps, as opposed to just the bicep. When I'm pulling Frank into me, that pull is going to stop at the top of my head. Now, the mechanics for the headbutt set you up perfect for the mechanics of the knee. So the minute I get this boom to that, then we drive the knee in, then we have the elbow. So when you work these, I want you to work them slow. Feel your body. Feel where the mechanics are. Get as much muscle tissue into your movement as you can. Now what I'd like to do is work body mechanics in combination to show you how the headbutt, the elbow, and the knee work together, sort of a synergy. Okay, Frank. We're going to use Wing Chun to get in. It's a pocket lock. The first thing I'm doing is I'm going to drive that knee in. Now watch the mechanics I'm using. I'm putting the whole body behind the knee, just slightly backing up. When I raise my head back slightly, that's going to set up for the headbutt or the elbow. So what I want to get is I want to get a synergy with the body. I want to get the head, the elbow, or the knee all working together. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Once again, an elbow is the same thing as a hook. You can throw it like this, or you can throw it like this. You can elbow like that, or you can put the whole body behind it. When I have the head right here, and I'm about to come down with an elbow, if I have a piece right here, boom, you've got to have the whole body behind it. And it's important where you hit. I don't want to elbow here. I want the tip of my elbow grazing the head, just grazing across the eyebrow. This is the effect I'm trying to get. Hopefully with body mechanics, this will take out a big man. Alright, in this next segment, we're going to illustrate the body mechanics on other weapons on our body other than just the elbow, the headbutt, and the knee. We may go into Tai Chi, we may go into the inner elbow shot or a shoulder bump, but it's the same common denominator. The whole body is flowing into the weapon. Okay, Bo, I'm going to take the inner elbow for the first example. We'll use Wing Chun to get us to this point. The minute we get here, I just pull with one arm. Now I'm using the inner elbow and I'm sending it out this way. The minute I send it out, boom, I come back again. Send it out to the head. So we're using the mechanics, I'll do it on this side, to hit. Now we don't want to hit too far because then we'd have to chase him. So we catch it with this hand to come back to this. Boom, bam, and then bam. If I want to go to Wing Chun, let's say I get right to here. Now it's just boom, it's a little push. Say a car's going by, a brick wall, whatever, you want him out of your way. If it's a mass attack, you hit one guy, boom, send him out of your way. So for whatever reason you want, you need to move a body. The key is to have leverage, to have a good base, and torque the body. Body mechanics. Our next attribute is killer instinct. Now when I say killer instinct, let me qualify that. There's only one range in a street fight that you really need killer instinct, and that's trapping range. When you're out in long range, you want to keep a cool head, moving, sticking, stop hitting. Once you close that gap, that's when we need killer instinct. Certain tools are more conducive to bringing this killer instinct out. The straight blast, the elbows, the headbutts, the knees. Picture doing a double spinning reverse crescent kick and having killer instinct. So what Bruce found out were certain tools that he used brought this emotion out in him. So we're going to pull to the gym and we're going to start with these exact tools. I'm going to attempt to teach you killer instinct through a video. Now it's going to be difficult. It's hard enough to learn killer instinct one-on-one. What I'd like you to do is just pay attention to the phases of a street fight. And if you can understand this, I think it'll help us along. Now Bruce would break a street fight down into 3 areas. One thing was called preliminary analysis. All a preliminary analysis is you're sizing up your opponent. There's no internal dialogue. You're not thinking. You're not sitting there, oh, Taekwondo man, big stance. That's not going on. All you're doing is getting a feel for him. He's a wrestler, he's a boxer, he's a karate man. You're getting a feel. That might take 2 to 4 seconds. Now from there we start moving around. This is what we call the pot shot segment of the fight. When you're moving around, you stick a guy in the face. Now you fake a shot in the face, you get the hands to fly out, boom, you kick him in the groin. Moving around again, then say you fake the groin, here's a boxer of 20 years doing this, and then you enter. So we have a preliminary analysis, then we have pot shotting. Now we've entered with pain. We've hit this person, we've inflicted pain, and we're borrowing that moment in time where he's in pain to enter safely. Now is when we turn on the killer instinct. This is when the straight blast, the elbows, the headbutts, and the knees come into play. Okay, Frank, let me borrow you. We're just going to take one possible scenario. We're moving around. I've sized Frank up immediately. He's a boxer. Okay, the guy's got some sort of structure. I'm moving around, boom, let's say I take the thigh. Now, I don't feel like entering yet. I've done a little bit of damage, but not quite enough. Now, I might fake the thigh, boom, and go up to the high line. Okay, I still don't feel like entering. He's bleeding a little bit, so I fake the high, boom, I go down low. Now is when I bring the killer instinct. At that point, when I enter, I can go into any art I want. I can go into Tai Chi, I can go into Dumog. The point is, we've entered safely, we've inflicted pain, we've borrowed that moment in time when we did inflict pain to blast. So there's always continuous pressure on this guy. This is killer instinct. Our next attribute is sensitivity, the ability to feel the opponent's intentions. All sensitivity is the ability to read pressure. You're reading the force of your opponent. If he pushes, you pull. If you pull, he pushes. Bruce and Dan together came up with drills to develop this attribute. This is what we're going to do now. I'm going to pull you to the gym, and we're going to work over these drills. Our next attribute is going to be sensitivity. Sensitivity is the ability to feel the opponent's pressure. Remember, sensitivity doesn't come into play in a fight until you get into trapping range. If you've got a strong opponent who's forcing one way, and you just go around that, and then you can insert your tool. So you're using sensitivity just for a second to get around that, and now you can put in what you want. Okay. Now, the first drill we're going to do is from Kali. It's Hubud. What we're doing is we're starting here. This is our reference point. I'm raising, slapping, and I'm hitting. What we're doing in Hubud, what we're actually accomplishing is we're accomplishing a spectrum of reference points that you can be in when you crash in a street fight. And we're learning to feel when we would insert different tools from this spectrum of reference points. And this is the ability to gain sensitivity, just by doing this over and over again. Now from here we're going to switch to another drill, which is the Lap Sao drill from Wing Chun. We're raising, we're pulling, and we're hitting, as opposed to raising, slapping, and hitting. I'm raising and I'm pulling and I'm hitting. This is the shell. When you've spent hours and hours of doing this over and over again, throw a jab, Terry, then the minute I enter into here, you can do it, because this is your neighborhood. You've been there, you've lived there. So we're going to do this one more time. Raise, slap, and hit. Then we go to raise, pull, and hit. And we can switch on this side. Then we go to the third drill, which is called Chi Sao. Once again, you have to actually be here to be experiencing this, but we'll at least give you a feeling, an idea. So we go from Chi Sao to Hubud to Lap Sao, and pretty soon we're just flowing. So what I'd like you to do is basically check out what we just did, go through it slowly, and get the shell. From there, then gain somebody to get your sensitivity. What we're going to do in this next segment is we're going to take the techniques that we've already learned and integrate them into Hubud. This is how we're going to become functional at trapping. The reason people know techniques but can't pull them off in a street fight is they've not gone through the rigors of learning it. You need 5 things. You learn, you practice, you master, you functionalize, and then you maintain. If you don't go through these steps, you're never going to be able to pull your techniques off. So what we have is we have Hubud as a shell. And that shell gives you the energy, and then you integrate any technique you want in the confines of that shell. Terry? Now, this is the Hubud we're doing. And if you remember, we were taking all of our techniques out of a jab. So Terry pulls out that jab. That's when I get to here, and I go back to Hubud. Doesn't matter what technique I'm doing. If I want to do an arm wrench, pull out the jab. I'll come to here, bam, put in the arm wrench, and then go back to Hubud again. The point being, anything that I do, any art or any technique, if it's integrated in the confines of an energy drill, you'll have energy. This is how you'll be able to pull off your techniques. Our next attribute is interception, the ability to intercept a blow before it hits you. This is actually what Jeet stands for, the way of intercepting the hand and foot. When you're in long range, you're using the attributes of awareness and timing to intercept. In close quarter range, it's sensitivity. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull you to the gym and I'm going to show you how to intercept when somebody is actually attacking us, some drills that we use to develop that attribute. Now in this next segment, we're going to talk about intercepting. Intercepting is an easy concept, but it's difficult to do. What you have to do is you have to hit your opponent before he hits you. Now we're talking about a high level of timing, a high level of awareness. The tools that we use to intercept with have to be economical. You're not going to try to intercept a jab with a spin kick, but you could intercept a spin kick with a jab. So the tools that we like to intercept with are our front hand jab, our front hand kick, the Jeet tech, which is a little side kick, it's not actually trying to hurt, and the rear leg shot to the thigh. These are our favorite tools to intercept with. I'm not saying these are the only tools. Now when you train it, you have to train it in a progression. You can't get in and go full contact, start kickboxing, and expect to intercept. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to both be in the center of the ring, and you're going to be trading blows, just the way 2 kickboxers do it. We don't want to do that. We don't want to trade blows. We're fighting a Rosie Guerrero on PCP. We don't want to trade blows with this guy. We want to intercept before he comes in. So we're just outside of his range. Second this guy steps in, bam, you hit him. So you zap him. Every time he breaches that range, he encroaches on you, you hit him. So I'm going to give you one very simple drill to do. We're going to intercept a boxer with the thigh shot. This is a line most boxers are unfamiliar with. And I'm just going to show you one example of how to intercept. Okay, Tom, come on in. Now, Tom, you're just going to throw the jab. I'm just patting the jab the way the boxer would. But if you notice I'm out in this range, freeze. Right in the range where I extend your jab, he can't reach me. So he has to come in to get me. Boom, that's when I intercept. So we're going to just move around a little bit, and I'm going to show you how we would normally do it. Now what we just saw an example of is intercepting the boxer's jab with the thigh kick. What we're doing is we're breaching that distance. The boxer's trying to encroach on us, but we're not allowing him to do that. As he comes in, boom, we zap him just before he gets into boxing range. So Tom would come in with a jab, boom, that's right when I'd hit him on the thigh. Now what we're going to do is we're going to encroach again on that range, except I'm going to use the kick. It's called a Jeet tech. This is one of Bruce's favorite moves. It resembles a side kick, but it's not for power. So you're not chambering the kick. You're just raising the leg up. So Tom comes in now with a kick, and I intercept the kick with a Jeet tech. So Tom, give me a good kick. Boom. We're moving around a little bit. He comes in, bam, I intercept it. Now the minute I intercept that kick, I borrow that moment in time to come in. And when I come in, I'm basically doing the 50-yard dash down this guy's center line. You have your crane stance. Bruce used to say, put him in the wounded crane. So what we're doing is we're going to encroach, we're going to blast, and then we're in trapping range. Now just as the boxer breaks up his rhythm in boxing, the trapper breaks up his rhythm in trapping. So what I'd like to do is take it to the gym and let's isolate broken rhythm in trapping. For our first attribute, we're going to work rhythm in trapping. Now just like in boxing, the trapper needs rhythm. You don't see a boxer throwing a jab or a cross or a hook in the same rhythm. He'll break it up. So this is what we do in trapping. Okay, Frank, let me borrow you. Now Frank's going to throw a jab. I'm going to use a gunting as a common denominator. This is my entry. So when he jabs, this is our pat. We'll take it out at that nerve center. The minute we hit that, boom, we can consider this one beat. Now when I'm talking about rhythm, we're just learning to play with beats. There's no right or wrong. So the first way we look at it is that's one beat. The second way is that's one beat. I may say 1001, or we may go to 1001. So how you look at it, the way you look at your trapping through the different rhythms, broadens the spectrum of how many times you can hit this guy. It opens up new lines for you. So what I'd like you to do is take any technique you have already and break it up in different rhythms. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to illustrate a few other points that we can get to gain rhythm. One way is zoning. Okay, Frank. Frank's going to throw a jab. As soon as he jabs, boom, I'm out here patting it. The first thing I'm doing is I'm coming into the groin. That's my first entry. Remember, we're not working techniques. I'm just using this technique to illustrate the point. Okay? He's jabbing here. The minute I go down, I'm going to come back to the high line. Now, when this hand is going down and up, there's always a line open here. So when this is here, that's open. When this is here, that's open. Every time I'm moving, boom, that's the rhythm. If I'm in front of him, it's his two guns against my two guns. The minute I zone to here, boom, that's rhythm. We don't know where we're going to go, but as long as we have the rhythm, we're going to find an opening. In this particular series of techniques, we're going to take advantage of rhythm through timing. We're going to find that gate when it's opening and closing, and we're going to seize that opportunity to go in when the gate closes. Okay, Frank. Once again, I'm going to use the destruction. Frank jabs. We have 1, 2, 3. Now on my third strike, if I am in center line, he's in center line. That's good form. You don't want your opponent to have good form. Okay? As he jabs, if I'm on the angle, if I zone a little bit, for me to get Frank's eye, I have to get the zoning. For him to block it, he's got to cross center line. The minute he vacates center line, this line's open, then I can come in and do what I want because I've got the hands trapped. So I'm forcing Frank to zone. I'm forcing Frank to cross his own center line. The movement I'm using is much like a running back or a basketball player. You're making a quick out, down and out. So he jabs, boom, that's my first out. But I'm faking that way to come back on this line. boom, to come in for my final shot. So we're using rhythm to get the guy to this point, then we're following up. On this particular series of techniques, we're going to use the arm wrench to illustrate how to get that half beat in there. Instead of punching to the face each time, say that would represent a full beat, we're going to go from the face to the arm and back to the face. Adding that little arm wrench can give us that half beat. Okay, Frank. Frank throws a jab. I'm still doing the same thing, the same destruction. When I get to this point, there's an obstruction here. We use a little bit of Wing Chun. Now this can be considered a beat. That can be considered a beat. But between that and that is a half beat. Drop back down to say a full beat and then back up to a full beat again. Okay, so we're breaking up the rhythm because of those target areas. So one more time, boom to here, or boom. That can be a half, that can be a half, that can be a full beat. So what I'd like you to do is play with these different techniques using the arm wrench. Play around with the half beat off the arm wrench. Now in this particular series, what Frank is going to do is cross center line instead of holding center line. It's just another variable that we can use to gain rhythm. So Frank, he's going to throw the jab. I do our same destruction, bicep, the eye jab, and the back fist. Now instead of him holding center line here, he's going to push. He's going to cross center line. This is going to create another rhythm, just another variable for you to work with. So as soon as he jabs, I get this feeling, boom, that's when I put this in. The minute I go to the bicep, boom, I've got the arm wrench back to the groin and back up to the head. I want you to go through it slow, break up the rhythm. Sometimes Frank will hold center line and that'll take us here. Other times, just to break up the rhythm, he's going to cross center line. That'll just take me here. Just one other way to play with rhythm. Well, I hope you enjoyed Attributes 2. Attributes are what made Bruce Lee what he was. The man is about attributes: speed, power, timing, coordination. This was world class. His attributes were world class. If we can learn from this tape just how to develop that, if we can understand that combat is not about technique, combat is about attributes. And if we can understand the training of these attributes, and if we got that from this tape, just one way of training, then it was worth it to you. So in a final word, I'd just like to say thank you, and this tape is a tribute to Bruce Lee. Thanks.